Welcome everybody to the Paladins World Championship Finals! These two teams have fought with so much effort to get here. Navi, whose team name literally means born to win, and FNATIC with a hunger unlike any other. Now they're ready for a best of 7 set to determine who walks away with that championship title. I know you want to meet the teams, which you'll get to do in just a moment, so let's get it started!
Representing Northern Europe, wearing the black and gold, here comes the clean and concise Natus Vincere. First up, a 21-year-old veteran looking for redemption from last year. From Finland, it's unbelievable. From Poland, playing damage at 20 years young, welcome to the stage, Creatives. Holding down the front line and hailing from the Netherlands, here comes FNATIC! Playing flank, hailing from Finland, it's the flick shot god himself, Mutu! And finally, the seasoned veteran at 28 years old and support player from Finland, looking to add to his ring collection, meet Spunky! And second to the stage after fighting through a grueling road to the finals, the comeback kids themselves. Please help me welcome FNATIC! From the Netherlands, returning to the finals and looking for redemption as well, here comes the support player, Gerrah! From Bulgaria at only a mere 17 years old, but still super explosive, the damage dealer, Fisheko. You may not see his fabled Drogos here. Flexing from the United Kingdom, here's Bugzy. And the youngest player on stage, but playing with one of the biggest hearts, here's from Italy, Side 8. And finally returning again, looking for his share of a second ring. He may have been left behind before, but coming from the Netherlands to prove everyone wrong, it's Thiel!
We can't get it started without hearing a few words from our returning champions present on both teams. So Spunky and Thiel, why don't you come on down? A little unexpected, I see. So we got to talk a little bit this morning, and you seem pretty confident going into the set. Is that confidence still there?
Maybe.
And what about you, Thiel? We've got to chat a bit. How are you feeling now?
Feeling good.
Well, only one of you gets to walk away as a 2-time champion. What do you think your chances are?
50-50.
I'm hearing that from both of you so often, and you were actually saying this yesterday. Is that still staying the same?
I'd say 51-49.
Had to be just a little bit different. Do you think that your hand needs a little warmth with the second ring?
Yeah.
Y'all have your game faces on and everything. Huh? 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 Last thing before we head on into everything, I want to know, what do you have to say to your opponents?
I mean, good luck. May the best team win.
And you, Spunky?
Yes. Someone's going to be the 2-time.
Someone is, that's for sure. Well, that's going to do it for here on the stage. For now, let's throw it over to the analyst desk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paladins World Championship. I'm Golden Boy, your host for the PWC, and feeling a little familiar here because I was here last year for the Smite World Championship, but I couldn't be more enthusiastic for Paladins. It has been bananas. I have this giant Alienware laptop covering my beautiful suit, but it's all good to go, baby, because we got ourselves some incredible analysts here. We have the one and only Vox and Gormizer. Gentlemen, how you feeling today?
I am doing fantastic. It is great to be back on this stage. A bit of a throwback to last year, in fact, with the Invitational, where some players on these teams fought and duked it out in a best-of-7 set that went the distance. I can't wait to see if it happens again.
I'm ecstatic. We've been seeing some great games already just from even just yesterday, not including the days before, but these guys are ready to play, and I think it's going to be an amazing set.
I can't wait, man. Gore, it's been me and you this whole time, buddy. Here.
It's been a long run.
It's unity.
Oh, do you need me to step back a little bit?
Yeah, no, get away.
All right,
get out of here.
I'll be on the
We don't want you. We don't want you here. You know what, though, guys? I mean, you know, really, the journey that FNATIC took to get to this point was
incredible.
Was amazing. You know, having to go through China Dream, which was one of the more formidable squads. Here, surprisingly enough, we thought that they were kind of a flash in the pan when they got dominated by Na'Vi, but they showed us something completely different. What makes this FNATIC team so special, Vox?
Well, it's their resilience and their adaptability which really strikes me, and Gore, I'm sure you've seen this as well. A bit of a storyline with FNATIC. They came out of the PPL, they came in the first seed to the full finals, and then, to all intents and purposes, they got dumpstered at LAN. They demonstrated a lack of adaptability, a real sort of headstrong brashness that when they stuck with a strategy that didn't work, they weren't willing to adapt on the fly, and that seemed to actually stick with them as well for the first couple of games, the initial matches, not the knockout matches in this LAN, but then Gore, it all changed.
Yeah, they finally stepped it up. It was actually really interesting to watch them go through that phase where they finally realized we can't just keep running this. We can't try to get the same draft every time. We have to reach a little bit further down into our champion pool. And Cybe8 was the one who really stepped forward for me. When he brought out a Ruckus, no one expected to see that out of him. And he was the one who was really able to help bring that back for his team.
Yeah, one has to wonder if Na'Vi is either A, going to try and nab that Ruckus away to ensure that Cybe8 doesn't get it, or maybe they even go for the ban. I mean, we've seen the Ruckus ban come through a couple times, but I did find out that we are ready to go into the Champions Draft. I haven't been able to do this in a while, so please, guys, why don't you indulge me for a little bit. Are you ready to watch some Paladins today? Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, man, I'm so excited. It's so nice to be back here again. So Navi's going to take out Timbermill, and FNATIC is going to say bye-bye to the close quarters of Bright Marsh. I like that. I like those decisions there. Bright Marsh has kind of been a pain point for a lot of these players here because of that action. Just, it's fast and furious.
It has, and it's a very close and compact map as well. And one thing that we've seen demonstrated time and time again is teams' ability to really innovate on that map as well. You know, we've seen the Terminus, we've seen a lot of Grok action come out as well, a lot of Ruckus, and we're going to Jaguar Falls for our first map.
I feel like this is like the perfect place to go. If you can't go to Bright Marsh, you're still going to have a similar composition, similar play styles, but it opens it up to a few other champions that you might not see as much as Bright Marsh. And honestly, this really goes well for either team.
Yeah, Jaguar Falls will certainly be a good, I guess, starting point here for this war between these two teams. Both teams vying for their you know, a respective member who was a former champion. So we have two teams defending a title, two players defending a title, but on opposite teams. I don't think I've ever seen that before, or at least I haven't encountered that before in my
Good question, Thiel. Can we crown the winner today, the Lord of the Rings?
Oh, no, no, no. You need to stop with the puns, Vox. You need to stop with this kind of
I feel
stuff.
like I'm in a dangerous position right now. I'm sat far too close.
We've given him too much power.
That reach range here, and I'm
Yeah, no,
as soon as the camera cuts away.
Yeah, like, it's just going to punch or just right in the face.
You'll cut back and we'll have like a Paladins logo on my face from one of those rings as well. And having seen them from last year, they're very shiny. They're very beautiful, and I can't wait to see how these teams deal with it. But going back to Jack Falls, going back to the map as well, I wonder if Na'Vi are prepared for specifically bugzy's Ceres.
That's going to be something I think they have to stand up for, because bugzy, like, that was kind of a surprise pick for me, seeing him bring out the Ceres, because we've seen him play Mave, we've seen him, like, any flank that he can pick up, any damage he picks up, he's going to excel with it. He was playing that Ceres like a flank, being able to treat her completely different than most people know how to play against her. And while we've seen her in other games, through some of the console players and some other PC matches, he has been the one, I think, to have the most success.
Which is kind of surprising as well, because when we did see Ceres was in console, typically, you know, you have the single target healing, so it makes sense. You know, you're able to track a little bit better with the controller. But to be able to use Ceres the way that bugzy has, and I think that just speaks to the skill that bugzy brings to the table here. I mean, this guy is incredible. It doesn't matter who he's playing on. You know, he makes an immediate impact, but who on the Na'Vi side is that player for you, Gore?
I mean, they mentioned Mutu, creative's unbelievable. All three of them have had phenomenal impacts. Mutu has been, I think, one of the clutch players really coming down for our lane. Yesterday, Na'Vi did not have the easiest set of their life to get here, having to go all 7 games against Nocturnes. And there were times where Mutu, throughout this last weekend, has been the saving grace, being able to either bring out his Androxus once he starts feeling himself, gets that flick going, as well as just some of the other champions they've been able to pick up. Him and Unbelievable have been kind of that second-hand carry they really needed to shine when they needed it.
One champion in particular that we've been seeing make quite an impact here was Talus. Talus has been used a lot. I know coming into this, we didn't really talk about it all that much. I know when I was asking you guys for the prep stuff, I didn't really hear about Talus all that much, but here comes Talus, just priority picks in these drafts, Fox.
And Talus does a couple of things here, which is very, very interesting. One of them is due to the loadout card Antediluvian, which is often taken in OB63 at rank 4, so you have 80% anti-heal with your on-hit effects for 3 seconds during overdrive. You're allowed to go into different items. Talus then becomes a very effective damage dealer who can pick up Rekka, deal bonus damage to shields, and we saw that actually from Na'Vi at times and Fnatic. They're both focusing down these shield-heavy frontliners, removing those protective elements very quickly. And one thing that's for sure as well, whilst Talus is effective at dealing with squishies, he struggles a little bit more about tracking down high-mobility enemies. Frontliners are more often stationary, and if you can unload your entire overdrive into an enemy, that is a huge amount of damage potential.
And I think that makes this matchup interesting because of Cybate and Ruckus with that Talus score.
And a lot of Fernando that we've been seeing actually out of Fnatic as well. It's just they've been running a lot of kind of 2 shielding frontline comps. So Talus has that advantage, being able to eat through that. And the good thing is, we heard kind of from Bidey, from Meta Pusher, NA hasn't been practicing Talus as much, so EU was able to use that as a good advantage coming in. This is going to be 2 EU teams. No matter what team gets him, if they do decide to go that, it's going to be very strong as a pick, so you have to keep that in mind. You want to lean more maybe towards a Terminus, towards an Inara, to keep yourself away from some of those shields so he doesn't have that much of an advantage.
Yeah, well, I coined this term yesterday, but the time for Paladins Champions of the Talk is over. And it's now time to go into the Champions Draft. And let's see what we have in store for our grand finals, as it's going to be Natus Vincere going up against Fnatic in a thrilling best-of-7 to determine who will be the Paladins World Champion. The time for talk is done. It's time for action as we go into the Champions drafts. Unfortunately for you kids, we are going to talk about the draft, so I mean, that's kind of like defeating the purpose, but it sounded good in the moment. All right, here we go. Na'Vi, what are they going to look to ban first?
Immediately for the Bomb King, and I think that's just a strong start. He's been so phenomenal. It's one that is really strong on Bright Marsh, but it has the same impact here. It's a nice little closed off area for the control point. A King Bomb in there, a Grumpy Bomb in there, gives you such a strong starting fight.
Buck then taking his first pick for Na'Vi, and this is a neutral opener for them. We've seen creatives play it, we've seen Mutu play it. Talus left on the table, but you're looking at Fnatic to maybe prioritize the Genos here, which is really something that's helped enable Buck throughout the duration of this tournament so far. I would expect that to be stripped away. I'd also like to see a neutral frontline opener, and Fnatic drafting the Rockets online early is getting a very strong, very secure pick in their hands.
And I think what's great about the Ruckus here is that they have a couple players that can flex onto it. It's not just going to be Cybate, even though he's been the one who's kind of been picking it up for a couple of these days.
Ooh.
They can flex around with this.
This is important here as well. Talus drafted early. This means Fnatic are giving up Genos prioritization, which will rapidly go over to Na'Vi, but they're ensuring that they get their flank online. They know how strong this pick is against the shielding of Ruckus.
I like that choice there. They protect their guy. They protect
is a hot
Cybe
team.
by drafting
It is like a
in
normal team,
that
but with me.
flanker. But now they're going to pick up the Genos and the Fernando Gore. And Nando has been a pretty reliable pick for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, another thing that comes similar to Talus, he has 80% anti-heal built in, so it's really, really strong, especially since we've been seeing a lot of these teams only running solo healers for a ton of this event. You can shut them down, you can chase them down, and stop them from having that similar effect.
Spirits, feast on your ashes.
All right, they're going to pick up the Drogos and the Maldamba. Good to see that Drogos come out here.
Well, this is very bold. It's FNATIC drafting a Drogos early. They say they want this damage potential coming through, and they're daring Na'Vi to say, go on, Mutsu, pick the Androxus. And I wouldn't be surprised if FNATIC are holding maybe a last pick Ashe in the tank here to maybe help counter that out with the assert dominance, because the lack of crowd control and displacement that Na'Vi currently have will be impactful. But
You are
Na'Vi,
nothing
they
but
don't
dust in
take
the
the bait.
wind.
They get a lot of damage online. They're going solo front line and getting a Shaolin in.
The lucky thing is that because of the health pool and the healing coming down from Buff, from Grok, it's going to be a little bit tankier for him, but the Ashe coming through just not exactly where you thought it would.
Did not expect that. Did not expect the Ashe. I do
Thiel's
like the
been loving
Shaolin
it.
pick, though, because of the range. Yeah, they have been loving Ashe. Why is that, Vox?
Honestly, I think this is due to the fact that FNATIC right now are baiting Na'Vi into low crowd control and low specifically displacement compositions. And when Ashe asserts dominance on an objective area the size of Jaguar Falls, well, that flag and the battle standard area covers the entire objective point. If you can't push Ashe out, and if you do, she's probably going into a wall, she is able just to contest for as long as possible.
So who do you have? Give me a name.
I'm going to give this one to FNATIC.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards Fnatic as well. The way they've played Ruckus, the fact that they have Talus, and the way Thiel has been playing this Ashe, I think this is going to be a
pretty
close one,
smashing.
but a good one for him.
Okay, so you guys are calling Fnatic for the entire thing.
Yeah, I think 4-2.
Wow. Wow, Na'Vi were like, they were the
Everyone's been rooting against Fnatic.
Everyone has been rooting against Fnatic, so it's about dang time that we root for Fnatic. All right, everyone, it's time to kick it off. It's the Paladins World Championship, and let's go ahead and send it over to your casters to get this bad boy rolling. It's none other than Rain Day.
Thanks, Alex. It's Rain Day and Pretty Hair here. Who else to bring it in for the final set of the Paladins World Championship? Nick, this looks like it's going to be a barn burner to take it away from
I hope
Alex's
so.
language.
I hope it is. For those of you that are just joining us or new to Paladins, we welcome you. We've got an amazing show. Just some quick basics, though. A neutral capture point has spawned. These teams will fight over it King of the Hill style, climbing upwards to 100% to spawn a payload, scoring points along the way. First to 4 claims victory.
During that time, you're going to need to make some individual plays as well. Fisheko, that guy right there on the Drogos, a big mastermind here in terms of being in the right spot for Rockets starting out. And of course, 18% on the objective. You see already Natus Vincere have asserted a little bit of control, but not much.
Thiel up in the air, the Void Grip, Genos with some crowd control early, but first blood of the grand finals drawn. Creatives on Shaolin.
That's no good. Gonna have to back off here. 51% again for Natus Vincere. Just holding here. Creatives using the Shaolin. It was used so well against him yesterday by Nocturne's Gaming's Fuzzy Logic, and I think that's why we're seeing it, Nick, here in Europe.
What a breakout tournament for this. This guy has been so far out of the meta, this champion, and this player stepping up on something not commonly seen. Thiel as well, back to basics, back to comfort, comps, things we knew out the window. This is me and my kit versus you and yours.
So much respect right now. They're both giving each other so much room, waiting for that first blood. Fisheko gets low, but the emitter's gonna save Cybe there. Creatives follows through with a deadly shot with a bow, and that's gonna put them in a good spot. FNATIC now may be able to take some control.
There's the Dragon Punch. Bugzy winding up that one-shot ultimate, but he is slaughtered mid-air, will not find home.
Oh no, Creatives doing too much work here as well. Despite FNATIC having some moments, Natus Vincere have more of them, and they take the first objective here in the final set. They're going to have a chance to push now, Nick, with 2 minutes and 22 seconds left on the clock.
That's correct, Randy. They've scored their first point of the 4. They'll need to find victory. That's the neutral capture point going the way of Natus Vincere. That progress bar at the top indicates how far along and how close to conversion, and another point the payload is. But if the defense is held, FNATIC will even the score line 1-1, and the neutral capture point fight resumes again in the next round.
Getting a couple fire spits there. Nice shot by Spunky. See the Star Splitter doing work from the support. He takes out the front line midair. Now Mutu sees something that he likes, gets a net shot, misses. Cybate will retreat with that extra shielding. They've still got a minute and 40 seconds left, but they've pushed about 60%, maybe 70 now, into the base of FNATIC.
They've got all their ultimates online except for the Immortal. Natus Vincere is ready to make this offense a reality. FNATIC, they're in about the same situation. All still 5v5, even footings, but blood could be drawn at any instance, and the first ultimate shall be cast.
Like the Tempest there, not many people were expecting it. I think he hit the gas pedal a little early, and Mutu takes advantage of it, finds a kill on a bugzy, but Thiel answers back there with a big one on the creative. But here's a Dread Serpent trying to make things crazy, and Spunky is going to taste the rockets right there because Cybate unleashes the Hexafire, but then falls shortly thereafter.
But Unbelievable stops the bleeding with an Immortal, preventing any teammates from dying. Fernando with one of the best frontline ultimates of the game. It's a double kill from bugzy to stabilize.
And we talked about this, Talus, how much of a priority it has become in this tournament, Nick. And I mean, it's just so much damage this guy can output.
This man's team made it here to the finals last year, but he couldn't be here due to visa issues. He has not let that stop him this year. He has marched right to the finals through the losers bracket, primed to take his first ring.
And the man doesn't have real visa issues. His credit card works just fine. He's won nearly all of the championships available and all the prize pools. He hasn't had a job since Paladins started in its esports situation back a couple of years ago in DreamHack Sweden, and it's so exciting to see him finally competing here on the big stage that he's worked so hard to get to.
Fire spits around the corner, 16 seconds on the clock. Remember, Natus Vincere lead 1-0. FNATIC with this defense will even the score 1-1.
6 seconds left. Unbelievable waiting. Has the shield up. That'll go down by the time the counter hits overtime. And here's the heat cage. Oh, they're popping the gas. Looking for one. That's a good one from Spunky. Thiel goes down. Now Cybate under pressure. Spunky with a triple kill is going to turn it around. And Mutu finds the fourth. That's a Navi push if I've ever seen one.
Bunky, baby. What a round for the Natus Vincere support. That man fighting for his second ring, fighting for the right to be called the two-time, and he is just disrespecting his opponents at this point.
Man, I feel like we're either at the World Cup or the World Championship. Both WC acronyms, you never tell them apart, but the Vuvuzelas in the background are still loud and clear.
My boy Blue.
My boy Blue. As that man Spunky that you see closest to your screen just comes off an incredible play, and that's the power of Genos right now in this meta.
And this is Natus Vincere's map pick, so the fact that they come out swinging with that 2-0 conversion, we talked about,
that's good.
There's a potential for the score to be evened up if FNATIC held that defense, but they didn't. Natus Vincere pushed the payload all the way to conversion, so as a result, they're going to be 2-up and over FNATIC. However, FNATIC will capture at a faster rate, a comeback mechanic to help them stay in the game.
That's important to remember. They can basically only win one big fight, and now Mutu wants to keep the pressure on him. Big dive shot into the Buck Wild, finds one more. Can the pellets hit? They strike true. Bugzy falls, and now this is looking like lamb to the slaughter. Dragon Punch done by Fisheko, so he's going to answer back onto the front line.
That's big. It didn't land in the previous round. That's a one-shot kill ultimate from Gerrah. They're trying to give some support. Gerrah will follow the support. True power. Bugzy comes ripping back to the fight.
But FNATIC, remember, they only really need to win one full fight, but they are not doing a good job of it. Fisheko falls. Creatives finds 3. That's the second member of FNATIC who have found triple kills in this game. That is not a good sign, and excuse me, Natus Vincere with those triples. FNATIC now, unfortunately, the receiving end of those.
The Nupture capture fight is over once more. Natus Vincere will have another chance at the offense. Of course, they need to push this one all the way home if they want to win in 4-0 fashion. FNATIC, again, if they have the opportunity to hold the defense, they will score the point, keep themselves in the game. Ultimates are available for both sides. Heat Haze, permanent invisibility for 8 seconds is available for creatives, but he's going down.
And this is something that, you know, is despite it looking like Natus Vincere are in a great position, and they are, FNATIC are okay. They can defend here. It may not work out because Natus Vincere are just not making any mistakes, but FNATIC, if they do hold, they will get that objective point. They will be 3-1 heading into the next round and still have that same advantage on the objective. So this is not over, despite it looking like the ball game going game 1 already to Natus Vincere.
Ultimate management is a big factor. It's not everything, but it certainly helps to be doing it well. Creatives simply can't be stopped this game. Shaolin is almost looking ban-worthy. What a performance.
Mama Mutu is proud right now because her son is finding doubles and clutch doubles as well. The players you don't want to go down, and Creatives is just adding insult to injury right there. bugzy looks like he's going to fall. Last-ditch effort, Dragon Punch. Will it even hit? I think Natus Vincere may have this one. When it goes out, he doesn't quite connect, Nick.
Just a little bit short. Creatives narrowly gets taken down. He's in stealth deep in the FNATIC backline. One more shot into the planet he goes. Not a great position for him to be in. Somehow, some way, FNATIC bring it back. 56 seconds on the clock, and look at that progress bar. It is inches from conversion.
Well, you know, inches don't mean a thing. 99 isn't 100. So
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Exactly. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, we like to say. And well, FNATIC, they have held on. 30 seconds left. They've got to probably withstand one more team fight. Natus Vincere have looked so clinical. Mutu as well as Creatives have been dominant as a damage duo. They've got to get one of these guys off the battlefield in order to have a chance.
Natus Vincere with one ultimate. The Buck Wild will send him into a frenzy, shooting much faster with infinite ammo. Mutu finds the first kill. So he may not even need his ultimate at this stage in the game. Talus bugzy has one ultimate. You hear it charging up now. He's ripping into the battlefield. True power Talus has displayed, but no frag for it.
That's the problem. He missed the blitz upper. That's the follow-up combo. You hit that true power, then you blitz upper. It's an immediate 1,200 damage, and then you can go into your ultimate. But look at this. Zybate, Fisheko, they find 2 kills. That's clutch. This is going to hopefully help, but Na'Vi finds 3, and that's enough for them to grab game 1 here at the Paladins World Championship.
That is a 4-0 sweep. Game number 1, clean. This team going almost unhindered through the tournament, dropping all but one game to the China Dream. They have been an absolute force, going best of 7, going the distance.
That was big.
Against Nocturnes the day before. This was a big 2v1 for Mutu. And you can't help but wonder how FNATIC are going to bounce back from that utter defeat in game 1.
Yeah, and it's not even bounce house Bucks, so they weren't even getting bounced on. It was bulk up. That's the real thing. That was the detriment in that game. Let's see what the desk has to say about it. So far, so good for Na'Vi.
All right, and Na'Vi managed to get that clean sweep, bringing out the broomsticks early in the morning here in Georgia, and that's going to be 4-0 back here at the Alienware Analyst Desk. And I mean, you know, Mutu, man, the impact that this guy has had throughout this tournament, Vox, has been very impressive.
It's Mutu, it's Creatives, it's Spunky, and the reason that Spunky last year, 1 year ago here on this very stage, developed the reputation of being the best support player in the world, the through time and space, the triple kill, the void grip at the end to stop Thiel from being able to close the gap and hold on tooth and nail for FNATIC. Phenomenal play from everybody on Na'Vi. They are operating at all cylinders right now.
And knowing that's their map choice, being able to come into it, they knew the strategy they kind of wanted. They're familiar with the map really well. So I'm interested to see how FNATIC is going to kind of respond to this one. Where do they take it to kind of keep Na'Vi on their toes? Just because there's a lot of maps that are open, but they've probably been playing very similar scrim partners. I mean, we've been watching this entire event, and a best of 7, at the end of the day, if you go the whole way, you play every single map. So the longer this goes, the better it's going to show for the team. I guess it's more well-rounded.
You know, it's kind of interesting as well, because Jaguar Falls is a map that actually FNATIC was relying on a lot throughout the previous day. That was one of their comeback maps, and to see them fall this early, and not just that, 4-0. That is a crushing blow right now. FNATIC need to rally together and find a way to pull themselves back into this set.
Yeah, the last couple of games, they played Jaguar Falls and won. 4-1 usually was a scoreline for it.
Yeah, here I've just flipped back to the Nocturnes game. They got the 4-0. And a lot of that, it felt like Nocturnes, it was the Talus that didn't have that same impact. But I feel like too many times I have had to write down when we see Na'Vi playing that, or when we see, Na'Vi playing, that we just don't have an answer for Mutu's Buck. Like, Mutu's whatever. It's just whatever Mutu is playing, sometimes they don't have an answer. We did see Nocturnes at some points finally figure out how to handle that dive comp, have a better position, and figure out where exactly they wanted to go, but it took them a few times to get in there. And we were mentioning earlier that FNATIC, they've had some trouble with the adaptation sometimes earlier this week even. And they were finally picking it up, but they really, really need to find it here.
You know, Gore, you said dive comp, and one champion comes to mind that sort of takes me back to DreamHack Valencia at this point. If you want either the enabler or a counter to dive compositions, Torvald.
Perhaps that's what we see. I mean, we haven't had a Torvald yet, obviously, but we've been seeing Torvald a lot this weekend. with that impact that that champion has had, but Na'Vi in complete control. The damage output insane, you know, and you just gotta commend them, man. They came out of the gate swinging. That's exactly what you want to see here at the grand final score.
And I'm really interested to see what bugzy is going to be able to kind of provide for the rest of these games, because that was kind of an uncharacteristic game, I'd say, from the last few days that we've been seeing them, the last matches through yesterday that they played. Bugzy was always phenomenal, always on top, and that Talus play didn't quite feel as strong as sometimes what we saw out of the Maeve, what we saw out of the Ceres earlier this week as well.
There was some great individual play from all the members of Na'Vi, and that really put FNATIC on the back foot, but also the composition. Na'Vi had a lot of safety room. They had the Immortal, they had also Tempest as well. Those two ultimates used in combination is kind of your re-engage potential. You keep everybody alive, and then you go back in for more, and FNATIC didn't have that fight reset.
So thinking about this, as we go into game 2, FNATIC recognizing that the buck is a problem. At the same time, they have to prioritize their picks because they want to ensure that they're comfortable. And as we go into the Champions Draft here, Vox, I mean, or whoever really, I mean, what do you do? What do you start with, Gore?
I'm still on the fence about Thiel's Ashe. Like, I've said that a lot yesterday because every time he kept pulling it out is like, why Ashe? Why not some of the others? And for certain scenarios, it was really good against the composition. We've seen it actually have a lot of prowess against Maeve, but that was used primarily against bugzy, who was playing the Maeve. Coming in here, there's some strength to it, but I feel like I'm still on the fence about it. I just haven't seen it do enough to warrant going over like the Torvald, going over the Inara, going over some of the other front lines that I think could have had a bigger impact.
Now back to basics, maybe. We go to the sunny shores of Frog Isle, and FNATIC have first pick, first ban. Torvald taken off the table, so Grandpa won't be enabling any plays here. Makoa taken away is unsurprising, Gore.
This is just one of the, I mean, Torvald kills people. Like, this is the map for him to just kill everyone. There's a giant line.
Would you like to go to Serpent Beach? Yes? No? Doesn't matter. You're going there anyway.
Going there anyway.
Oh, we're going.
Just can't stay away from me.
Fernando as the frontline pickup for Na'Vi here. Let's see what their second choice is going to be. But immediately, though, you recognize that FNATIC, they're trying to prioritize that ruckus. Give it Cybate, let him feel comfortable with it.
I feel like they might be leaning a little bit too heavily on it as of right now. Like, I mean, he's been stellar. Ruckus has been game-changing in a lot of these matches, but it just feels like there's almost too much weight. Cybate has other champions in his pool.
Here's the issue. Na'Vi love Xiaolin. What do we know from 1 year ago? It's the same old story. Shields in front of Xiaolin with Wrecker just go down. When you have good cauterized application and good Wrecker application, Ruckus starts to fall apart because you don't have the same survivability. And now FNATIC, they can draft the Ashe again, which they keep on sticking with, and they can also potentially look for what I'd like to see here, the Bomb King.
I'll say I'm a little bit more of a fan of Ashe on this map, I think, than Jaguar Falls, just because she has a little bit more kill potential on here. Just because, again, it's kind of like Torvaldo. You have opportunities to knock people off, and the control, especially for Frog Isle, since it's a little bit more snowbally, if you can get it rolling, that gives you an opportunity to push in the cart. It gives you an opportunity to capture payloads, or capture points where you just weren't able to before.
It is really big as well. You talk about the knockback there. If Ashe is running a high level of kinetic burst knockback, a card in their loadout as well, she will really mandate a resilience pickup from Na'Vi to avoid a massive amount of displacement, and that allows FNATIC to not be counted out with defensive itemization here.
Big surprise, it's Xiaolin.
Once again, Xiaolin manages to make his way in, and we saw in that last game what Xiaolin was capable of doing for Na'Vi, so you get that nice little range on Frog Isle as well. The Maldama's going to be locked too, so bringing in that support.
If creatives can play that Xiaolin anywhere near at the same level, I mean, now he's got the warm-up game, essentially, off the Xiaolin. He's going to step into this. He's going to be even more deadly coming into it, and this is a good map for him. This is another good map where Grover could play into effect if you want someone to kind of box that Xiaolin in the backline. FNATIC are open for it, but they need something to deal with him, and because otherwise he's going to go unanswered. He's going to be wrecking down the Ruckus and the Ashe, and they're not going to have that impact.
I'm really not sure I like the Eevee. It's Kinessa from FNATIC as well, banking on bugzy to do the work, but can Eevee draw enough distraction on towards Xiaolin to allow that sniper to free fire and maybe even deal with Buck? There are so many questions here.
That last pickup coming in just a second. See what Na'Vi chooses to go with here. Bit of a interesting composition from FNATIC, seeing the Eevee, the Kinessa, the Ashe is something you don't really see every day.
I would love to see a Mave here from Na'Vi right now. They have so much disruption potential, but no, in the face of the Kinessa, they're not going to go for more flanks, and this is different from the Jaguar Falls playstyle. They know that Frog Isle is a more open map. It's more about sustain here, and I'm not too against that either. The flanker would have been good at helping out with Kinessa, but Inara's just hard to kill.
Yeah, Inara just lives on point. Right, and that's exactly what you want. But all right, I mean, guys, you know, I asked you to overall, but are you feeling FNATIC here? Are you feeling Na'Vi again?
It's a tough one for me. Bugzy, the way that he has been playing this Kinessa has been pretty phenomenal. I'm still wanting to see if he can reach Kate levels, but he has been on point with that. And the way Fisheko has been playing a lot of this Eevee, I want to lean towards FNATIC, and this is going to be their map, so hopefully they know what they're doing.
Honestly, this time around, I'm going to give it to Na'Vi here. I think that despite Bugsy's Kinessa, the pressure that Mutu's Buck has been demonstrating throughout every series is too much to deal with, and I think that Na'Vi, if they get the momentum up and running, they could sweep quite easily.
Yeah, that's going to be the scary part here as we wait for the matchup to begin. And it seems like it's time to send it over to Frog Isle. Let's take it back to your casters. It's Rain Day and Pretty Hair.
Well, oh boy, do people like to go into the drink for this one. And with Ashe and that kinetic burst, they may just do it unwillingly. Thiel grabs her again, and this time the sniper comes out from FNATIC. What can Na'Vi do to respond?
Legendary is pretty much standardized here across the board, but the compositions are far from what I think we expected here. This just feels like a very comfortable composition for both of these teams. Thiel not playing the Ashe in months creative, same story there for him. Fisheko, time to time, you'll see an Eevee out of this guy. But we know he loves the character dearly. I think he's proving himself quickly to be one of the best in the world at it. What can they do in game 2?
Oh, already very aggressive here. Keep an eye on Fisheko, as you mentioned, one of the smoothest Eevees in the game right now. And looking to go back and forth with that wormhole, able to blink back to the spot of the original blink within 4 seconds, and he can soar in between. Phoenix finds an early kill on a Thiel, though. That's not good, but he has created a lot of space for Bugzy to be freak firing. It just hasn't found much.
Frontliners dueling out. Bugsy's gonna find a big shot with Kinessa. Shield will be forced out.
Needs one.
Fernando charged up, headshot. That hurts even for Inara. She's got to throw up the wall to prevent any further bleeding.
And this is how they dealt with it. The Na'Vi played against the sniper on Splitstone Quarry last time against Nocturne's Gaming, and this Inara was just so tanky. No amount of snipe damage could stop it. And Natus Vincere say, we'll take that same strategy and we'll bet on ourselves here. They take this first objective capture. FNATIC 100-0 lose that one.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I had that exact conversation with Phoenix, actually, talking about how did they deal with Akate, the famous sniper from Latin America. And he said he just studied where they're positioned, and they just line aside him. They stay away from him. The only person he can shoot is Inara, the tankiest character in the cast. She's out on the objective capturing, so she has to be able to be the one to stand against him.
And now Creative doesn't want to slow the gas pedal. Maybe this Nocturne's Gaming fuzzy logic has gotten into the logic of the Europeans, because oh boy, is Xiaolin working. Nice planted, but he's going to go down. Fisheko finally finding some rhythm. Good Ice Storm as well. Can lock down Mutu for now. One more shot will do it, but he's going to heroic leap out of there.
Persistent, slow, and cripple on that ultimate, but of course, Mutu, he's able to make it out A-OK. Buck, very self-sustainable as well as highly mobile. Time and space, narrowly avoided by Natus Vincere.
Gerrah almost haven't said his name at all, but there hasn't been any healing needed. Everyone's been dying so quickly on the side of FNATIC. I think Na'Vi have put the pressure on that one. Cybate and Bugzy, though, finally cleaning up some kills. And so this is going to be good. Going to alleviate some pressure. Now Creatives is definitely under the gun, both literally and figuratively here with 1 minute and 15 seconds. Phoenix isolated, and that's kind of what they wanted. Get that Inara away from her
He was
support.
just going for a couple of cheeky inches on the payload, and that's okay. As long as someone remains contesting the objective from Natus Vincere, it's not going to roll backwards. And down the stretch, every inch, every second matters. You're looking at that progress bar. Now you see the backwards arrow indicating that because none of the offensive team is contesting the objective, it will slowly start to regress back towards its origination point.
And now you can see Phoenix trying to make his move. Good shot there from Creative. Cybate will get poked out low, wants to get a heal, but he's forced to use his own sustain, that emitter shield, which will go down in a few seconds. Now, what can bugzy do? He's got to hit a couple of big shots here, Nick, on the defense. They picked the sniper, hasn't quite paid off yet, but he's got his ultimate headhunter. He's basically going to double that damage.
There's one looking for a headshot on a Mutu. Bugzy opens up this fight with a nice crisp dome.
Oh, looking for the snipes, catches him, and he catches him. Are you kidding me, Bugzy? Oh, the double kill. Looking for the triple kill. Doesn't even unscope for it. Looking for the quadra. Cybate steals that, but Bugzy, he gets enough.
Comfort pick, not something we've seen a lot before this tournament. But Adrian Bugzy Bogowski, his first time on the World Championship stage, and he is looking to make his mark.
Unbelievable stuff there. And you just see why they're so comfortable with that sniper. I mean, when Bugzy gets going, he gets going.
They needed that.
It's a freight truck, no brakes, moving 100 miles an hour downhill. But right now, you're right, they needed it.
They absolutely did. Bugzy, one of the veterans, he's got to be the one to step up. He's got two very young, sub 18-year-old, but very high octane fraggers that are going to be feeling the nerves. They've never won a championship LAN like this. They've never been on a stage this big. They've never had this many fans screaming for them and against them. That type of pressure is going to be getting to him, and it has to be Bugzy that stands up and says, it's okay, guys, we got this.
Now look at that Rejuve 3 on Phoenix. That's dangerous. That's basically going to, at this stage of the game, because of the way diminishing returns, nullify that Cauterize 3, even if you get it, because she's still getting so much healing. She just got poked almost low, and look at her health pool right now. Bugzy's got to finish her, because take an eye on Inara, he is back to full. That is how dangerous it is. You have split seconds to be able to finish off one of these Tagala.
Critical miss there from Bugzy, but it's
knock off.
A-okay, Cybate, he gets the shield off. Thug, Bugzy stunned into the wall. Thiel's trying to get out. He's going to rip across the battlefield, but he is still low HP.
Winter Ice Storm here. Oh, nice Dread Serpent. You can't get the ult off. Wonderful play there coming from Spunky. FNATIC now losing 3. They're going to back off, and Natus Vincere holding strong on the objective. 72% and counting very quickly up.
The tables have turned multiple times in this objective. Jumping headshot. Bugzy, you know his name, and that's why.
Yeah. And now a headhunter as well is primed and charged, and this is bad. If Bugzy has all this room to operate, and of course if Gerrah hits that, things could change, but he misses. However, things are still looking good for FNATIC. Fish gets 2, little fishy, not looking so little this time around. Finds to try the 3rd, but he doesn't need to. Bugzy's there and prepared.
High octane lineup, Fisheko. Bugzy finds traction in the first round. He's inspiring the troops. Fisheko starting to make his mark, and now things are going well for FNATIC.
Young man. A lot of big dreams, though, and he is played out of his mind. Has to be one of the big reasons FNATIC are in this position after losing and fighting their way through the losers bracket. Maybe Cybate summarizing how they feel right now, just letting it all loose, all the emotion. But Phoenix and Na'Vi have been solid from the beginning, and that's just like what Inara did right there.
Looking for it, Inara ultimate will come crashing through, but I don't think it finds anything. Oh my goodness, Rain Day, this is still FNATIC's fight.
Pretty here, FNATIC are looking pretty, and I can't say this as to say taking anything away from your hairdo today. We just had that worked on backstage. It's looking great. We haven't cut the camera, but you got to see this guy. He looks fantastic.
I will say, it's actually very funny. I had to rush out to get that Paladins Battlegrounds tournament underway. No one has touched my hair, baby. I woke up like this, feeling like Beyonce backstage.
I woke up like this. Well, guess what? Everyone wishes they had a little bit of Mama Sicily. I call her that now because that's what she is on Twitter's gene pool. But we're going to have to do with what we got here. Thiel going low, and he's have to deal with what he's got. Phoenix in his face, and that's not a good position. 1 minute, 50 seconds left on the clock for FNATIC and Na'Vi, as Na'Vi kind of stall out FNATIC's push, at least for now.
Ultimate starting to charge up. Actually, a lot of charge from that clip scored by Gerrah. He goes from low 80s to high 90s, and now fully charged. Genos ultimate, you've seen it a couple times. It's that big through time and space. It may sound familiar to you if you're a Smite fan. It works pretty much the same. It's a cross-map laser beam, a big cylindrical area. If you're caught inside of it when the cast completes, 2,400 damage you will take.
The only difference, though, is it isn't that projectile. It kind of originates all across the map at the same instant. So you can hit from base to base with this thing. You just can't hit in each other's bases. Right now, though, this fight is taking place right in the middle. Bugzy looking for a big headshot, Nick. And again, he has the headhunter. Will he use it here? Because he could probably get it back by the time the round's over.
Eats a big arrow from Creatives. Canessa with a pretty quick charging ultimate as long as she's finding, and there it is. Speaking of finding the snipes, Creatives Gerrah goes down, he takes him, Headhunter's gonna be popped, bugzy looking for the frag.
And this is big. Look at that Ice Storm keeping them all in place. Another perfect Headhunter. Tries to get the no scope on a Mutu. He's gonna run into much more than Mutu can choo-choo. And he's gonna choo-choo on out of there. Back to base. FNATIC now looking primed to push this through.
Cybate having a good round. Gerrah starting to hit ultimates. Things are starting to go well for FNATIC. Natus Vincere, the way they've come through this tournament is unscathed. They've come in for a day, they've played one set, and then they go home. FNATIC has been a different story. They were riding, though tired, on that momentum. They played a lot of Paladins yesterday, and initially you would expect to give that advantage to Na'Vi.
But we know that playing a lot of Paladins sometimes gets you that warm, fuzzy feeling of being able to just say, I got this, I know this, I've done this before on this map today 2-3 times throughout this week. And what a wall! I can't believe it. Somehow, the brilliance of Phoenix.
That's conversion if that doesn't happen there. You can see it on the faces of FNATIC. They are not happy with that. Young Fanny, though, he's smiling. He's a big part of this Natus Vincere success, but the tale doesn't end there. FNATIC, this man especially, bugzy had a great first round, Fishy had a great second round, and now it's time for the rest of the squad to step up. bugzy still deathless.
And what's amazing is that Fish tries to actually, he creates that opening because Phoenix tries to body block for Creatives there. He moves to the right, and Fish moves Phoenix to the right as well. Creatives planted, staying in place, actually then opens up for him as he gets a nice flick shot to the left. So again, the little mechanical moments that Fisheko is showing us. And again, blinking in, wormhole back, and Nara's here. Phoenix could be in trouble. He's probably got a heal ready and primed by Spunky, but he is dropping very, very low.
This is a different approach to the round than Na'Vi have currently taken. They are going deep for bugzy. One more shot waiting for this ice block immunity to end. Creatives, he can't miss from that distance here. He's already found two.
At least Cybate gets one, and Thiel gets another. This is a decent trade, but it's not looking good because it's 2-2 right now. Natus Vincere got that double from Unbelievable, and that just may have turned the tide. One of the returning members trying to get his first Paladins champion.
Also on the stage last year along that D69, actually filling in for bugzy. That is where Unbelievable found himself last year. 1 year ago, same place, same time, and this time he is hunting for that ring.
And he holds down with about 100 health left to his name, and a Dread Serpent to keep him healthy. Unbe finds Fisheko, but the point goes to Natus Vincere after all.
Unbe, what a play from him, an absolute rock holding down the front line. He buys just a couple of critical seconds, as well as, frankly, there's no other way to put it, a mistake from Fisheko. He flies into the AoE fear from Maldamba.
And I mean, that's synergy, that's Spunky, that's Unbe. Those two players, one with the title win, one who was fighting for that title as a sub for Adrian bugzy, as we saw, who's now playing for FNATIC. Those two are the healer and support. How much does that play into the fact that they're going to have a lot of control in terms of the min-maxing when you can go in and when you can go out?
I mean, the little things done right by your front liners and support can mean so much. Look at the wall from Phoenix. He literally saves that round. This is a completely different score line if that play doesn't happen. And it's unbelievable. He's going to fall off the map, but of his own volition. Natus Vincere, they're going to call that offense quick, go back to base, get reset, and give it another try.
And I'm not opposed to this as well. I think Natus Vincere now, having got that objective, feel pretty good about themselves. They've got 1:20 left. Looking for just anything. Again, this mid-round, this mid-range kind of fight is all about the poke. All about that one kill. If you can poke someone down, force them back, get some position, then take a kill off of it, you can snowball that into a 5v4, make a 4v2 somewhere else on the map, and then turn that into a numbers advantage game until you finish the push, which is the dream. But with shots like that, bugzy looks to hold strong.
Oh, he just put Creatives in the dirt. He was trying to cast his ultimate. Na'Vi were looking for the throat there, but bugzy shuts it all down, and even still, Natus Vincere, boy, do they know how to fight on uneven footing.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and it is maybe even unbelievable. I don't know which
You're
one.
not wrong.
I'm not wrong, as Garrett would say, our lead designer. This is basically him holding off the fort, and Phoenix as well, just being that distraction, that secondary tank you just don't want to deal with. And Nara is so tanky, and now Thiel with the assert dominance knows things are under the gun, and bugzy goes down to Unbe.
He fades away, popping his Headhunter, claiming one life before he does. Creative, he can't miss this shot, and he doesn't. Fisheko will fall. Creatives escapes with his life as well, and Natus Vincere are really close to this conversion.
But what a heal as well. Dread Serpent, Spunky, you're gonna do it? Is that gonna be the game? Oh man, big ultimate, big walls, big time plays. Natus Vincere make it a 2-0.
Game 2 going their way. Incredible plays and somewhat of a crushing defeat. Feels like it slipped away a little bit for FNATIC.
Let's see how they can bounce back. If they can, Navi looking real good.
And Natus Vincere, Navi, managed to secure 2 games in a row. Welcome back, everyone, to the Alienware Analyst Desk here as we're going to break down Frog Isle, where Navi, they just had a dominating performance. And you know what, Vox, I mean, we might as well talk about what's going on with FNATIC here, because you had some things to talk about how they're not really, challenging all that much.
Yeah, FNATIC are doing the same thing, which held them back during the initial preliminary matches, and that's have a lot of damage, and you can see that on the team scoreboard here, but there was not really much objective pressure when it mattered, and that also partially comes down to some of the drafting from FNATIC.
Yeah, a lot of what they did, they're relying really heavily on Fisheko and bugzy to hit their shots, deal those damage, and get those kills. And Navi knew that. They recognized it like early on, and we actually see Phoenix picking up that Rejuvenate 3 as fast as possible going into the second round with that, just to get that more healing. So he's already got highest base health on the Inara. Now he's getting more healing. He's counteracting anything that you really had against him. And while there were some choice headshots from bugzy, they just weren't enough to really open up that point and allow them to get in there.
Did you feel like the Eevee was a good choice for Fisheko?
It's a little bit tricky there. I do and I don't. Fisheko's Eevee is one of, if not the best Eevee in the world, but in a situation like that, going to be completely honest, going up against the frontline pressure of Inara and also the Fernando, I think that a Bomb King would have been more viable in just dealing more consistent damage output.
And my problem is that guy right there. Creatives is playing his mind out on the Shaolin, and you are kind of picking into that. You are almost giving it away. The Knessa was a good chance to maybe shut that down, but once they started recognizing how big of a threat bugzy was, Navi immediately, they're going into the backline. They're ignoring everyone else on FNATIC to make sure they don't have to deal with that sniping pressure, and it just let creatives run rampant.
That's always been the danger of Knessa. Knessa's great when she gets to free fire. As soon as you distract the sniper, teams with a sniper in them typically rely on that champion for a huge portion of their damage output. If they're not fighting on the battlefield, if they're not shooting towards front line or flanks or anybody who might be trying to sneak up on them and they're forced away from the team fight, then you're held at the deficit, and that's dangerous.
You see the damage, and that was brought up before. I mean, you had bugzy, 104,000 plus damage there, but creatives as well pretty much matching that. And looking at these numbers, Gore, anything that stands out to you in particular?
I mean, it just comes down to the fact that I feel like Thiel, again, on the Ashe, he has that presence. You can see he's doing a considerable chunk of damage because of that blast shot. But if you're going to have a blaster, I mean, go full blaster. Get the Bomb King like we heard Vox say, just because it's going to be a little bit stronger. And I feel like, again, they're kind of pushing themselves into some of the roles that they don't normally fill because it's what's been working these last couple days. They need to change it back.
And Stone Keep will be the location for that as well. I got to agree with you there, Gore, as well, but I want to see at this point them start to move away from the Ashe. FNATIC are in a dangerous situation, and the Ashe just hasn't proven to be as survivable as the Inara pickup, as the Fernando pickup. The Ruckus prioritization early on is really loading FNATIC with top-heavy damage and not a great deal of survivability. They need a very strong counter to that and sort of balance in their drafting to be able to match that and stay on point for as long as possible.
I almost feel like the Torvald just would have been good there in that point as well, because you can at the very least, right, like just protect some more of the, some folks around you, right? Like.
Yeah.
The problem is it's Torvald and Frog Isle, and if Torvald doesn't get banned in Frog Isle, I mean, then it's a heyday for whatever team manages to get them, and that's exactly what we saw coming through. You just can't risk them getting in there, and FNATIC with first pick, they take that off the table because they know they want the Ruckus. They can't afford to let Torvald get through.
And that's just been kind of the story. I mean, there's so many good first picks, and honestly, second picks for the other teams that leaving anything open, that just with one ban, it makes it really rough for you trying to draft that early, especially when you don't know what they're going to be picking up on the side of Navi. And so far, it's the Buck, the Shaolin that are giving a ton of trouble.
Yeah, a lot of pressure from the damage champions. Let's get into this champions draft, though, and see what Navi and FNATIC are going to choose here. What are going to be those first bans? Game number 3, Stone Keep. FNATIC up first with the bans. What are they going to go for?
This has typically been Fnatic's map for a long time now. The 12-volt ban does actually remain. Makoa, no surprises there. Fnatic, I'm not sure I feel confident in if they stick with the Ruckus, but on this map as well, it may be too valuable to let go, but it's Buck.
It's, again, so many champions that can perform well on here. Buck is going to be one, and personally, I think this is also partially just get it away from Mutu, who's been playing it phenomenally.
True.
Like, it's kind of that double-edged blade. You're giving him something he's going to be strong with, but now you're going to be able to take it. You can still perform with it, but you just need to keep Na'Vi shut down for a little bit, and they're still going to be able to get a couple of the picks they won. But I kind of don't know. I mean, last time they picked Nando Buck here, and I like the Genos just as much, just because it doesn't show their hand too early. You still don't know if they want to put creatives back on that Shaolin.
You got a lot of different options here as well. Fnatic can go with more neutral drafting. Frontline support would not be a bad move, and what's held Fnatic back time and time again has been a lack of objective pressure, but they're sticking with the Ruckus. If this isn't an Inara as well, I would be very surprised, but maybe they'll go for Maldamba, maybe it'll be Talus here as well for more damage, and no, it's more shots at Na'Vi.
If you can't beat it, take it. That is what I'm seeing here from Fnatic. This is, Na'Vi's been wrecking us with Buck and Shaolin. We're just not going to let them have Buck and Shaolin.
That's not a bad decision in this situation. You know, Na'Vi have put out a great deal of work, and this also will help deal with the Fernando shield very well. It's the reactive play that we saw specifically Bonka, MVP of the Invitational last year, do. Fernando pops their shield up, you go into planted. Fernando doesn't have a shield, but speaking of lack of shields, Bomb King makes short work of those as well.
Bomb King makes his debut here at the world stage, the World Championship, and it will be a Talus that will be joining him for Na'Vi. Some added pressure, and we've seen Talus shred through Ruckus shields in the past. That is a little worrisome, if I'm speaking candidly, Vox.
Yeah, I feel like we've got to go for a Maldamba Inara here, and whilst Inara's healing will be counted out, Fnatic is sticking with the Ashe, and this concerns me so much. You know, they put it to good work on Stonekeep before, but again, is this Fnatic demonstrating the same kind of, we're going to go with this composition and run it into the ground until we get there in our, dig our own graves at this point?
I have to wonder if this is a calculated plan. They know the Ashe can work, they just haven't been able to hit it yet, or if this is just stubbornness coming down. Because usually 2 maps in a row, if whatever you are picking as your frontline just is not working for you, that's when you start looking at the others. I mean, this is several times they've left some of the more higher picked front lines just on the board completely, and you know Na'Vi doesn't need it. They're ready with what they have, but you're still falling back on the Ashe. I want to see Thiel be successful the way he was yesterday with it, but it just hasn't been working against Na'Vi. They know too much about it.
Wow. I mean, I don't know, man. That's just a little concerning, you know, especially considering that Inara was up for grabs, and Inara's presence on the point, especially in Stonekeep.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
She's good. She gets a lot of chip capture early. There is double inbuilt anti-heal and loadouts through from Na'Vi potentially if they're running Brandon, Fernando, and Antediluvian on Talus. And because the duration of that anti-heal lasts for 3 seconds, not the 1.5 seconds from Cauterize following those applications, you know, there's a potential for Na'Vi to be so much shut down for so longer.
All right, well, let's see if Fnatic are going to make this happen, or will Na'Vi go up 3-2-0? Let's send it over to your casters and get Stonekeep going.
Well, it's going to have to get going, and get going quickly, Nick. Na'Vi really bringing the heat here in this matchup.
2 games to give, up 2-0 in the grand finals. Unbelievable, looking for redemption. Spunky looking for more hardware. The returning potential 2-time champion. Either way this set ends up going, we get to crown and just keep saying 2-time.
The 2-time back-to-back champion will be crowned, but we don't know which team it is. Right now it's looking like Spunky is winning that race, but you cannot count out Fnatic. That's been the story of their tournament thus far. They've been counted out again and again and again, and they have climbed their way back here to the finals. But they need to make a big play. They need to look a lot better than they did in games 1s and 2s here.
Fnatic, they switch up the back line. They keep their front line basically the same with Ruckus and Ashe. They will have Shaolin and Buck this time, but yet the story remains the same. Natus Vincere with first blood.
44 health. I mean, isn't that the story? This close, but Creative stays alive, and that's a Bomb King still on the battlefield, and that is not good for Fnatic. Now Fisheko trying to find a little something, and bugzy's waiting in the rafters on the left side, but it's being held down by Unbelievable. He can't go.
It's only 2 arrows, but every shot, every ability matters so much on this stage. Fisheko misses 2 critical ones with some great positioning, frankly.
And that's important. Unbelievable, though, getting poked. And you can see Boca Buck, this is why he's used. He actually ends up winning these poke battles, but with the Void Grip, it just shuts him down. But that'll shut anybody down. Headshot for bugzy. Can he find a second? Boom! Misses. Phoenix stays alive thanks to the healing totem. And oh my god, the Ghost Walk. That was a critical mistake by bugzy, but it looks like he's making amends.
Bugzy just with the wiggles. The strafe pattern was too good. Drafts go out the window when it gets in the game. My young blood, you gotta hit the shots.
69% on the objective, 27 and counting now for FNATIC. They've asserted their dominance in Thiel. He doesn't quite have his ultimate, but I'm sure he is going to rally his troops around him when he does at about 8% and counting. Again, on the objective, but moving just to zone. It's not really about the point, it's about the fight right now, and Thiel has to be careful not to go down.
72% on the objective to 48% for FNATIC. Big fear comes out from Gerrah. Unbelievable. We'll head into the immunity. Both of these frontliners immune to damage currently.
But what a tip is coming through to save Unbelievable and bring him back to fighting health. 96% now, and it's going to be a big kill from bugzy on a creatives.
Bugzy needs to go big in this fight. He pops the buck while his recovery as well. The shots just land time and time again. The veteran bugzy keeping his team grounded.
And that is what you needed. Bugzy had a smile on his face before, and Fisheko, he's got no smiles. It's eyes of steel. He's ready to go and win this for his team, but they've got to stand on the point. Unbe with the shield. It's probably just a day late and $1 short here.
And the Hexafire to zone out. It doesn't find any kills. Saibait loses his life for it, but a nice big cushion he buys out front. Overtime is going to be started 99 to 99. This could still go either way.
It still could. They lost Phoenix. He was a big part of their sustain, and now both tanks are down. FNATIC, they do it. They get themselves the first objective here in Game 3, trying to crawl and claw their way back in this matchup.
Seeing the same almost climate of the previous game, bugzy starts to go off, then Fisheko finds traction, and immediately after that, it's Saibait with a great ultimate to buy a big cushy zone for FNATIC to work with. And it's not taking rounds anymore, Randy. It's just taking play by play for these guys to get going.
And that's important. As you see, these best of 7s, they're not a sprint. They're a marathon. Sometimes 2-0s can happen. And in fact, the last World Championship started out with a 2-0 just like this, and it went all the way to the distance. So do not count this set out. Do not count this team out. Never count Thiel out as well, or his ass picks, Fox. He heard you on the mic, and he's making sure that he lets you know it works.
FNATIC, a team that seems stubborn at times, but you just have to trust them, I think, at this point. They really know what they're doing, and they're thinking, this is execution that's going wrong for us. It's not the champions we've outfitted ourselves with. Bugzy on the right side, continuing to look for frag.
And it is that fine line between trust in yourself and confidence versus stubbornness. It also is that fine line in having faith. What can you do when it's down to the wire and it's all on the line? I think you sometimes just have to go with your gut. You have to just trust what you practice and what you believe to work.
109 on the clock. Payload about a fight and a half from conversion if they can grasp it. Thiel.
He's just going
He
off.
was primed for the knockback to send that Talus swimming.
But he Rune of Travel's a little bit too early. And so Thiel doesn't get the satisfaction of sending someone into the Drake there with that big knockback on his right click when he primes that flat cannon. 45 seconds now, 1-0. But Saibait and the rest of FNATIC have had a troubling time pushing through this chokehold. And it's so hard here on Stone Keep when you have to fight both on this vertical, but also on the ground.
Bugzy is so good, just the positioning, min-maxing, but he gets focused down on the right side by 2 creatives. With the double kill, Fisheko finds an answer on to 1, but this is not looking good for FNATIC.
Can't withdraw away, almost got out of that, but the Grumpy Bomb stun too strong. And he might have to pick up resilience because it has definitely resulted in a full team wipe here for FNATIC.
15 seconds on the clock. FNATIC burning 1 ultimate. Natus Vincere burning 0. With the defense here, they'll even up the score line, head back to a neutral capture point, and they'll have the resources to win it as well.
But they are here. Starting overtime, and creatives is low. That could start something. Here's the stagger. It's actually in favor of FNATIC. They've got all 5 up. Na'Vi now forced to back up because they don't have as many numbers. And Unbelievable forces not only the Tempest, but the Immortal, and then he still falls. This is huge, but Spunky's coming up big, but Fisheko is coming up bigger.
Bugzy going down. Ghostwalk expended by Phoenix. He's doing his best to contest as long as he possibly can. The stagger's looking good. 4 down for Na'Vi. FNATIC may have saved this offense.
Love the position here. Saibait's getting to the left because he knows knows they're going to have to look at the objective, so he's going to force them to either look at him or look at the point, and this is perfect if you want a Hexafire, but Spunky burns him down. This guy doesn't want to let his championship hopes go away, as overtime is still here,
90,
but a great
100.
kill from Fisheko.
He's got the attempt to go for it here. Fisheko just charging his ultimate. He's hit the gas pedal.
He's
Lil
going.
Fishy wants blood.
He wants the MVP. He's going for it. He's going to put a capstone on that as FNATIC finally get that push. It was a gamble, but this time it pays off for the Orange.
Laser focused in, a long shot at that offense, but Fisheko that round, he's making it happen. He's getting those trades. He's bringing them back. He's making it work. He's getting his ulti charge. Massive shot on Namutu there. That's been a big thorn in his side, and that one's got to feel good.
Well, now Mutu's got an arrow in his side to see how the thorn in his side feels. And Fisheko,
I'd pick the thorn.
I think I'd pick the thorn as well, unless it's in your Achilles, because we all know how that can bring a brother down. I've been limping all over this place, but we've made it to the end, Nick. It's exciting to be here, and of course, if you're joining us, best of 7 finals for the Paladins World Championship here at Hi-Rez Expo 2018, powered by INAP on Coca-Cola Championship Sunday.
Bugzy sporting the slash line of the devil there. 6 kills, 6 deaths, 6 assists. He's ready to exact his will upon any who would approach him now. 1 ultimate down, of course, for FNATIC. Natus Vincere expended 3 to get that defense, and they were unsuccessful.
Kind of interesting here as well. They took the low ground, and here's the Buck Wild. Tries to find 1 shotgun will go down. The bombs will win out. This unbelievable as well. Getting credit for that kill, so the frontliner continues to get more credits and establish himself nice through time and space. Side with the juke boost though, but it's not enough to escape from Mutu's Vera charge.
That won't find home, but it forces Side in such a terrible position.
Hola.
And again, it is Fisheko bringing these fights back to fruition, giving his team a hope.
He needs this. They need to get creative. They can't what a comeback from the boys of Natus Vincere. They group up, and here it is, the 1v1. Phoenix is getting low. Got to drop the healing totem. He's going to get around the corner and might just do it. Thiel is chasing him, and he forces him into the ultimate. What a shield as well, because the cauterize was working, and assert dominance can't land. That's a void grip for you.
Comeback mechanic is enabled for Natus Vincere as they were down 2-0. Bugsy's going to get in. He's going to touch, but his team is just not behind him on this one. Natus Vincere, they're going to capture this one for sure. Bring the score line to a 2-1, but FNATIC in the position that they are in can still score a point if they hold this defense. However, they will not be able to win the game on defense should they make it to that 3-point mark. You need to win a game of Paladins based on offensive play, capturing a point or converting a payload.
You definitely want to put yourself in that type of position, but you know, 2-2 isn't bad. That means next time you fight that objective, you are 2-2. Nobody has an advantage in capturing any faster, and we've seen that become a big impact later on in yesterday's games when Nocturne's Gaming actually utilized that comeback mechanic where you capture a lot faster on that objective if you're behind by up to 2 or 1 points, and use it to their advantage to actually turn games around from 3-1 all the way to 4-3s in Nocturne's victory.
Slow and steady has proven a very viable strategy for multiple teams at this tournament. FNATIC, Na'Vi as well may have to look to that strategy. This is where you ask yourself that question, do we spend our ultimates to try and convert, tie the score here, but then we severely hinder our chances at the fight in the next round, and we could find ourselves on the back foot and costing the game.
I mean, you could have all ultimates to your side and extra capture percentage, so you only have to win 1 fight. Or I guess you could just kill everybody right now. That's what Unbelievable wants to do. Throws a fireball that takes down 2. And this is big, big news for Natus Vincere, because now they are fighting with the stagger, and they don't have the same type of sustain, I think, like Na'Vi do. So FNATIC's gonna have to be careful here. Assert dominance, the void grip lifts them up, and they burn Thiel yet again.
Thiel has failed so many times to get this ultimate off. Somebody from FNATIC needs to touch. Unbelievable, he hits the Immortal just to make sure it goes home, and Na'Vi will even the score, 2-2.
And I think that's fine. I think that is totally okay if you are FNATIC, and that way you are not fighting behind. You just have to be better than them now. You don't have to worry about them having any extra advantages, and it's something that these higher level pros are definitely thinking about in their comms and discussing. But the strategy, FNATIC went on to the lower ground, Nick, and Na'Vi took the upper ground. What do you think the benefits of that were?
It was just it was such a close race there. It was pretty incredible stuff that we actually saw pan out. Bugzy With a great Buckwild, frankly, he put 2 different targets at about 10% HP, but it was unable to be capitalized upon. If there was anyone there, from even Thiel, frankly, could have cleaned up those kills. One of the front lines could have slammed those frags home. Kind of similar to this style. We would have liked to see that flanker bugzy accompanied by a frontliner, and you saw all of his team on the low ground. In fact, they were holding meaningless map control at that point. There was nothing to be won there. Bugzy had his eyes on the prize.
These two right here, they both have their eyes on the prize. And Creatives looking like they're ready to go. He's in the middle, and he's been, I think, the centerpiece for this Na'Vi team and why they've had such a good run. He stepped his game up from what you would call, if you're a tier list fan, a B tier, maybe an A tier, of course, because he's one of the top teams in the EU.
Side screen.
But in terms of that, he's gone to S tier. He has become one of the best there is. And I absolutely love that we're seeing that coming through now.
Here, man, they're up 2-0. If they take this game, I don't know if FNATIC are going to be able to bounce all the way back. A reverse sweep in the grand finals of a Cinderella story in the making. And boy, I mean, who doesn't love one of those?
Oh, I love them. And you know what? It's possible. Anything is possible here in the realm. And it's time to go to battle, though. Possibilities are one thing, but realities are another. Unbelievable takes the upper ground as well. Na'Vi and FNATIC switch it up, but a huge fireball
1100.
starts things off perfectly. Here's a Dread Serpent, pops the shield through time and space. Spooky with a big kill in the back line, and now Mutu and Creatives able to capitalize off it.
These two juggernauts head-on collision, full force, 100 miles an hour, but it looks like Na'Vi will come out just ever so slightly on top. Creatives could clean up Thiel here. He's looking for the frag. He's found Fisheko. Thiel trying to dash out to safety. He'll escape with his life, but licking his wounds.
But here, they didn't get too much, right? They lost that full fight, but guess what? It's only 30% on the objectives and counting now. Na'Vi are not out of the woods yet, and of course, FNATIC absolutely still in this one. Mutu on a 14 streak, though. That's unusual. And True Power here looking to make it 15. If he can find the Blitz Upper, there it is. That's the combo I was talking about. And gets back to his home base, but Bugzy's there waiting for him. It's a home invasion, but he's going to go down thanks to guess who? Spunky!
Thiel cleans it up, though. That was the difference. That's what didn't happen last round. Thiel goes out from Gerrah. He gets back behind the shield, stun on a Phoenix. Can he get the Ghost Walk off? Does he have the Ghost Walk even available?
30 health, and Gerrah's going to stay alive. That's huge. And meanwhile, in the back line, Creative still trying to fight, but everyone on FNATIC has healing, and that 30 health may be the most important amount of health that FNATIC have ever had in this tournament.
We've saw 2 big decisive plays. That's the stun out, doesn't find the kill onto Spunky. He'll just barely survive. That would have been big from Fisheko. Bugsy's come up short twice in this round in pretty big moments, but it is Thiel. He's sporting 1 ring, and he's making plays to work his way to a second. Great cleanup from him to keep the round alive.
And now Na'Vi are on the back foot. You see Bugzy just has free reign, but look at that damage again. You pay attention to how fast Bucky and them are melting people, but Gerrah, again, with 45 health, finds the kill, and oh no! Na'Vi step on, and FNATIC actually lose that point. It is game point here for Natus Vincere.
Nowhere to be seen. If this payload goes home, you're right. They're going to be on tournament point, up 3-0 over FNATIC, and bouncing back from that type of defeat, I just don't know if these guys have it in them. The resilience has been proven from them. They marched through the losers bracket. They went down early and have fought hard to be where they are now.
What an incredible story as well. They've just had so many times of being number 3 from the earlier days when these players were playing for an organization called WASD. Cybate here, though, not trying to hear anything about history. He wants to talk about right now. He finds a triple kill on the Ruckus, which is very, very, I would say, important for FNATIC folks to continue. They've still got a minute and 30 to hold, and it's a very possible hold, Nick, and then it's just 1.5 that decides it all.
Cybate pretty quiet this game. He's made a couple of big plays yesterday. Ruckus was a big, big champion for him on the day, and something that another breakout character. But Na'Vi, they're hitting the gas pedal. They're popping some ultimates there. Not a big commitment. Fisheko very far out of position. He will be cleaned up easily by 3 members of Na'Vi.
Now Phoenix pressuring Cybate. The emitter will drop soon. That yellow bar is going to go away because it is a duration-based shield, and so he can have it to get out of scary situations for burst, protect himself at low health, but he can't just have it all the time. Unlike this Fernando, who can really put that shield up, especially if he's running Aegis, and just keep it up until it's destroyed. Unbe now still fighting, but he's fighting near that gourd, and he doesn't want to stand there because Thiel has the advantage, but through time and space gets used. Thinks he's going to grab the heat haze on the Shaolin, but Fisheko thinks otherwise, and he's found one, looking to find two. He's going to have to back up now.
So Fishy, he's going to withdraw back into stealth. He will go creatives. And bugzy, they're going to trade out. Funny, awkward engagement there. Planet's going to miss. FNATIC just too tanky. Mutu gets the cleanup.
And he grabs that Blitz Upper. It's just by the skin of his teeth. So Dread Serpent here. Sometimes, Nick, we'll see this used to kind of disengage right before, but FNATIC are falling. They're crumbling like a cookie, and Dread Serpent may not be enough to save him.
I gotta say that reload stun is not the priority. Gerrah waiting with a heal ready for a teammate, but he throws it out. There's an ultimate from bugzy to try and save this round.
Gotta worry about the point. Wonderful combination. Gerrah and bugzy not willing to concede quite yet. It should be a 3-3, ladies and gentlemen, because that ult use was perfection.
Narrowly saved there from FNATIC. Still cost them 2 lives and some ultimates to hang on. Na'Vi looking like an absolute juggernaut on a mission. You mentioned traditionally throughout the year, they've been 3rd seed. They've been banging their head against the wall, slowly improving, slowly creeping closer and closer to these grand finals, slowly working their way up, gaining respect for their opponents. Scrim partners with Ninjas in Pajamas for this tournament. They were able to not be here today. Ninjas in Pajamas fell to FNATIC in surprising fashion yesterday in the semifinals.
And you got to say something to do with maybe the time these guys were playing, the fatigue, the endurance. It all became more of a mental game, I think, especially since those teams know each other so well. Finishing a set at 1 a.m. in the morning, very difficult to keep your focus through and out. FNATIC were able to do it much better than NIP, despite having played 2 sets already in that day.
Dangerous spot for bugzy to be in now. He's found himself in some trouble again. Saibait, big Hexafire potential here, but Na'Vi simply juke to the left, and they will all be A-okay.
Very bad angle Saibait took there. It was almost so reactionary, Nick, and that's not what FNATIC needed out of a very game-changing ult.
What?
Now both frontliners are down, and FNATIC's looking to do it all himself. He's that guy who's got the comms ringing loud and proud, because he's the one that's getting them going, knowing that this could be game number 3 and a victory heading in to match point.
They're working their way up. 39% for FNATIC, 45 and climbing for Natus Vincere Creatives. Such a great tournament for this guy, such a great series so far, just ever present, ever making a splash in almost every game. I don't remember an even average or much less below average performance from this guy.
Through time and space, and here's the deal, 93% and 99. They've got to have something happen here. Na'Vi! They grab it, not even stepping a foot on the objective. And maybe it's just what this day is about. They're just a step behind of Na'Vi.
FNATIC shaking their heads. They're down 3-0. This is a long road back. The Cinderella story. We're at about 11:59. The clock is ready to strike midnight. Alex, what do you got for us?
At some point, you have to ask yourself, what are the changes that need to be made? You're standing at the precipice of history here. And for FNATIC, do you really want to go out with a whimper? That is the question. And Na'Vi close to a clean sweep grand final. Gore, my friend, what's going on here?
I mean, just looking at the way bugzy was playing, there were a few key moments where he was the reason FNATIC was able to get things done. And then there was the draft from Na'Vi, which was just anti-buck. They have 2 anti-heals built in. The longer the game goes, you get more cauterized. It just hurt him so much. He wasn't able to get to the point where, even though sometimes his ult gave him those frags, he just couldn't step up the way that we've seen Mutu do it the last couple of games.
Yeah, it's just a really difficult situation. All the little niche picks coming out of FNATIC right now aren't paying off in a big way. And honestly, it's despite FNATIC bringing out the Ashe, it's Na'Vi that are taking out the trash right now. We've got to see some changes in the front line, not just the flank right now.
You're a terrible
FNATIC.
human being.
I certainly am. I pride myself on that.
Found a way to take Ashe and put it into trash. I can't even with you right now.
Hot garbage, but it's not Fernando this time.
All right, so you saw Fisheko kind of show up with the Shaolin, hitting some big shots early on. bugzy also contributing a huge save to keep them in this match. But in the end, though, it was Creative's Bomb King, and the rest of Na'Vi that just shut them out. Gave them nothing to work with.
Creatives has a very scary Bomb King. This has been something which, FNATIC know, and has been something which everybody within the European scene knows, is you do not give Creatives blasters. That is something which they are known for at this point, as well as the Charlene. There are so many versatile damage picks right now that these champions, these players can really flex to. And FNATIC, well, they demonstrated a great deal of flexibility in their draft yesterday, but we're not seeing the same amount of vigor come out of them this time, and something's got to change.
And just highlighting, I mean, Spunky, he's back here again. He's back up on the stage, and he's been playing lights out with this Genos. He's been getting a lot of damage. His ults have been on point, either forcing FNATIC into bad positioning where they have to dodge it, or being able to shoot him down in some of the more common walking paths of Stone Keep. But Void Grips, just showing the weakness in the Ashe ult. She's only damage immune once she gets that flag planted, and if you can grab her in the air, which he did several times there, which resulted in Thiel dying, then she's not going to be able to accomplish nearly as much. And just keeping that shut down, Ruckus isn't going to be able to jump in there because there's too much damage coming from the rest of the team. Ashe is your sole frontliner to get in there, and she's just not performing up to par.
Just take a look at the stats here. I mean, nothing all that crazy given the score line there, right? As far as the kills and the damage being output.
That's the big thing. There's no big difference between these teams right now. It just comes down to the very little plays, small amounts of execution, a couple of clutch kills in certain situations, and the way that Na'Vi coordinate right now, especially with their ultimates. It's been 2 games so far they've done this. They did it on Jaguar Falls. They've done it again on Stone Keep. They draft the solo Fernando that keeps everybody alive. Then there's Tempest, then there's Totem. That's your re-engage. They reset the fight and they come back at full force.
I just have to wonder, I mean, yesterday we saw Na'Vi get precariously close to not even being here from the way Nocturnes was playing, and FNATIC, like you had said, they're still kind of sticking back to what we've seen from previous FNATIC, even the last LAN FNATIC, where it's just not the way they were playing yesterday when they proved that they belonged here. It is almost, not necessarily night and day, it's not that big of a difference between them, but it feels like they have this strategy. It's something that we saw early out of China Dream at one point, where it just felt like they didn't want to change up what wasn't working.
Yeah, well, this guy right here, Creatives, on that Bomb King, you mentioned it, whether it's blasters or hit scan, it don't matter. He's going to do the job. He wants that championship. He wants that ring. And I just don't know at this point what FNATIC can do if they decide to remain true to this Ashe composition that they're kind of playing with here. Want to see Thiel maybe go over to something else, but here's the damage Vox, and what are your takeaways here?
Well, Fisheko is performing phenomenally for FNATIC throughout the duration of that game. Gerrah, of course, on Maldamba being much lower than Spunky is expected at this point, but what really is remarkable right now is the amount of damage to me that Unbelievable was able to output on Fernando, and that's often where we see the sort of little differences start to come out between teams. It's not the damage champions not pulling their weight, it's the front line going above and beyond and picking up the slack in every single possible area, not just in one.
I'll admit, I'm throwing a lot of fault at FNATIC, but there's also the side that, I mean, Na'Vi, until yesterday, they were looking dominant.
You know,
like,
it's
they were
not
playing
just the fact
just almost nonstop.
Right, it's not just the fact that FNATIC are making a couple of mistakes here and there, and the drafting is not really what it needs to be or where it needs to be. The thing that we're seeing to a degree is the fact that FNATIC are just being outclassed individually. 1v1, members of Na'Vi are taking fights and they are winning them handily.
And it's another thing that Na'Vi, they're making some small mistakes, but they're not making many of them, and they are capitalizing every single chance they get. If FNATIC, they're out of position. If someone takes one step too far forward, they know what's on the line. This is a world championship. They are going to punish you, and they have been doing that so far. And even though Ruckus was a really, really, really big factor yesterday for FNATIC and helping get them here, they just haven't had that same performance.
Yeah, they were hoping for, you know, Cy-Bait to play that, I don't want to say that carry role, but to really take a lot of that burden off and open things up for the damage players. But he just, sure, he has been, you know, going out there, he has been trying his best to be disruptive, but he just hasn't really been able to get his footing the way that we saw him in the last series, where they played against NIP and Ruckus was such a difference maker. Cy-Bait playing it, they had to ban it in that last game.
Well, see, this is the issue that we're going into right now. It's not Cy-Bait. It's Na'Vi knowing how to deal with FNATIC. They have one of the best Ruckus players in the world in Phoenix on their team, and they are drafting in a way that just secures Ruckus. Every time that you saw Cybate move in, Void Grip would come out. If there's no advance left in the tank, it's an easy target to focus down for Bomb King. It's an easy target to focus down for Talus. I mean, Talus, if you don't need to track around, you can empty that Barrett Charger's overdrive, full clip into an enemy. You just end up with so much damage dealt.
There's just so much room. I'm looking back through FNATIC and trying to see some of the other front lines that we did see. Fernando was always one of the big ones to come through. Thiel was really favoring his Ashe, but he did kind of step around and touch on some of the other ones, and I'd like to see him maybe go back into that, as well as flip up some of these carry roles. I mean, Cybate was not really known for this Ruckus until pretty much yesterday when he brings it out, being able to go back to putting him on something else.
The Shaolin. Fisheko was typically the blaster player for the team, forced onto that role and performing very well, but that's the champion, one of the champions at least, that Cybate was known for. These projectile, very fast-moving projectile-based champions, or hit scan at times, the damage, long-distance carry, and whilst Ruckus has been certainly doing that this tournament, I think that it is no longer the answer, and maybe FNATIC need to look elsewhere in many different areas.
To tell you what, I mean, FNATIC, they've just been read like an open book at this point. And you know, what is the next chapter at this point? What is the next chapter? Is it going to be Na'Vi hoisting the trophy over their head, or will FNATIC fight back? Serpent Beach will be map number 4. And will the beach be the grave for FNATIC, Gore?
I mean, this is do or die, and you could see there were some camera shots there. They went back, they're talking about it. They know they're not doing it the way they know they can. They know they have that potential still, and they just have to unlock it again. And I feel like Thiel's trying to bring that out in the rest of the team. And I think they still have a chance, but I mean, you're sitting at this point, you have to reverse sweep now. You lose a single game, you don't play perfect, and it's over for you.
That's right, flawless. Flawless Paladins needs to be played by FNATIC. And Vox, I mean, you know these two teams very well, but and most importantly with FNATIC, are they capable? Are they capable of being able to reverse sweep Na'Vi here, given how they've been performing?
They are capable, but again, like Gus said, they have to play it perfectly, not just in game, but also in draft. And when we go to a map like Serpent Beach, a lot of questions are raised. Do you strip the buck pick away again? Otherwise, that is going straight to Mutu. Who's getting the Shaolin? Who's getting the Fernando? And honestly, at this point, the front line feels like the biggest question once again to me.
The Champions Draft is ready to go. It's time for game number 4. Na'Vi versus FNATIC. If Na'Vi wins, they will be your Paladins World Champions. FNATIC need to find it in themselves to fight back. Let's begin the draft with Na'Vi's first ban. It's going to be the Bomb King.
I like Bomb King ban. Makoa makes sense. Just get rid of those both. Going to be very strong. This is one of the ones I almost feel bad that I've been harping on the Ruckus as much as I can, because this is a good map for Ruckus. This is actually a very solid place for him to go forward, because he's able to jump up onto those ledges. He can become essentially a turret for you and provide a lot of damage.
You know, if you're going to stick with the Ruckus, here might be a place to do it specifically, but Fernando picked up by FNATIC is a much more secure pick for Thiel than I think we've seen so far this tournament, or at least this set, and I'd like to see the Genos accompanying it. I don't think you can afford to give Genos to a team with Buck on to Na'Vi, who have the ability to kind of heal through walls specifically, and there's the lock.
They have not drafted Fernando, FNATIC, throughout this entire series. It has basically been all Na'Vi, so that is a huge difference here. Although they have had the Genos, they haven't had the Fernando. Guns. But the Ruckus goes to the other side now. Na'Vi will nab it, and taking that away from Cybate, but that may have been a blessing in disguise.
I mean, the last time they played on Serpent Beach last night against NIP, Nando was the first pick FNATIC picked up. They really like him on this map, and I think he's very solid on this map as well. But you're now looking down the side. They don't get the Bomb King they had last night, and they have to deal with the Ruckus, the Shaolin. Maeve is going to get into the backline. The question is if they can perform. bugzy has been phenomenal on Maeve so far this land.
And coming in through, I gotta agree with you on Maeve, but I don't agree on the Drogo's pick here for FNATIC right now. We know how good Fisheko is with Bomb King. We know that Bomb King is still available, could be drafted here, but...
No, Bomb King was banned.
Oh, Bomb King was banned, excuse me. Drogo's there. I don't like it in the face of Buck. The problem is, Buck does a very good job at camping Drogos. Drogos goes up, Buck heroic leaps after them, Drogos goes down, and all of a sudden, you have a great deal of difficulty at dealing with the unyielding.
I think another important thing here is taking away the Genos from Spunky. He has been able to play the Damba. They've done it once before, and it did help them out a little bit during Frog Isle, but I think he's been performing really well on that, just kind of forcing him to another healer, making him have to deal with that, and grabbing up the Grover. I am happy about this because he's so good against Shaolin.
Bless up and bow down. That'll lock off a lot of long sight lines, especially on a map like Serpent Beach where Shaolin wants to stick to the high ground here. So you're going for area denial, you're going for angle lock off, you're going for a solo frontline composition, but the double support, which has been run by Na'Vi previously, now in the hands of FNATIC, might be very good at trying to out-sustain the Inara.
A lot of pressure going to be put onto Spunky here, who's going to be manning the Maldamba to keep his teammates alive. And the pressure is on, and it's all for that right there. The trophy for the Paladins World Championship. Spunky looking to be a 2-time champion. But on the other side, Thiel also looking to be a 2-time champion. But it's do or die for FNATIC here. Let's make some noise and get hype. It's time for game number 4. Let's send it over to Rain Day and Pretty Hair.
Thanks, Alex. This one's going to be exciting. Can't wait to see it. It is do or die, like you said. So it's really just going to be up to these teams to determine whether one ends this day in glory or one in defeat.
FNATIC switching gears here, going with a pretty different style of backline. They've moved from Cyb 8. He's played a ton of Ruckus onto now Grover, which notably absolutely shut down Lazy yesterday on Shaolin. Creatives needs to be stopped. Shaolin having another MVP performance at the World Championship. Bugzy on the Mave looked damn good here when he whipped it out earlier in the tournament, and now we'll see if he can do it again.
Fisheko going on the Drogo's pick, or at least Fire Spit Salvo combination. Phoenix goes to half health, but he can get that right back, especially with the Maldamba on the side of Na'Vi and in the hands of Spooky, who's looking to be that 2-time back-to-back champion here for his World Championship. But so far, so good for Na'Vi, 42%. They're gonna back off, and they just get that for free.
Fisheko, big pop shots on both Ruckus and Buck. These rockets are hitting hard. First blood drawn by Fisheko.
Not so free. They have to play the ultimate blood price as they go down and crumble yet again. A good fire spit as well. It's gonna put him low, and Fisheko now be able to isolate Unbelievable, but he's backing off. One rocket can land and maybe
That's a critical frag to miss, though.
Yeah.
One rocket could have spelled the difference. Both frontliners stay alive for Natus Vincere. They have 78 to nothing on the point for FNATIC.
And that's the problem. Both teams been fighting right here, but Na'Vi basically have an objective capture. Now bugzy finds the kill. No one can step on. This is...
Where is the attempt? Where's the attempt? Where's the overtime? Where is the chance for FNATIC to come back or have an attempt at these objectives?
And you talked about how important that kill was on Unbelievable, and that's what Fisheko needs to do with his Fusillade. He hits so hard. Those direct impacts over 1,100 damage. If he could just find 1, 2, 3 onto that Inara, he can make a big difference. And right now, it is just too late. That doesn't matter. They're on the defense, but they lost that objective.
Dragon Punch is going to be a good cooldown for them. Ultimates are pretty good for both sides. Honestly, I wouldn't give it to any one roster, but Natus Vincere with only one ultimate charge right now to work with creatives on the Shaolin. Having a lights out performance. He's first to his ultimate for the black and yellow. FNATIC almost with all 5 online, ready to make the defensive stand here now.
And Phoenix, we know, loves his Ruckus and actually winning that poke battle because of the emitter. Cyb 8 forced to go back past the Whirlwind in his pocket. Unbeat gonna just take a little technical break there. Make sure everything's working for him. Phoenix making sure his teammates all right. But again, Nick, this is not a good start for FNATIC. Their backs are against the wall, and to have have an objective like that go Na'Vi's way, but in that way, it's pretty demoralizing.
And Thiel was right there too. He wasn't unhealthy, obviously, not in the best position, pushing forward into both frontliners from Natus Vincere, but there's just not even the attempt. And we've seen that a couple of times. The objective-mindedness of FNATIC has not been super strong today. They got walled off for an entire round loss in Frog Isle. They give up a couple of payloads that feel like they slipped out of their grasp on Stone Keep. They let a pretty easy one go there. And this is the grand finals. Every shot counts. Fisheko missing just one critical rocket there that could have changed the fate of this round. Finding so much good damage, though. First blood as well. How much can you really ask for from one man?
And it's on the healer. That's another big thing. I mean, that sustain that Inara lives, that's without Spunky. So she is just that tanky on her own, let alone put the best healer in the game into her back line, keeping her sustained. One of the best minds of Paladins, Spunky driving the mechanics of that.
FNATIC would be pretty upset, I would imagine, at being swept in the grand finals, but Natus Vincere is the favorite. They come in higher seed. They didn't go into the loser's bracket. They didn't have to make a run like FNATIC did yesterday. They played 3 sets. Probably spending 6 hours on stage yesterday. Did they expend all they have? Did they give it all they got just to get here?
Phoenix here with a Dread Serpent trying to capitalize off it, and bugzy's made gets deleted by Phoenix's miniguns, and that's been the story so far today. Will it change? Nobody knows. We're watching just like you are to try and figure that out. Thiel runs to escape. He returns for the second time on this stage, but it doesn't look like a win is in his future. Things will have to change dramatically for FNATIC.
And this is going to look pretty devastating if they get pushed in on 2-0 conversion. Salvo finds nothing for Fisheko. Rockets, fire spits, all missing. He's got his Dragon Punch and might have to lean on it soon.
You got to wonder what's going wrong here, Nick. What is happening in terms of the minds of FNATIC? Look at that, Fusillade plus the fire spit, which actually adds, it's a hidden mechanic, extra damage onto a target who is affected by that fire spit. So Fusillade can hit for about 1,400 for 3 rockets in a row. But right now, all these ultimates are flying, and it's an Immortal as well used, but Mutu holding on to his Buck Wild. He may just be the one to turn the tide here, but he's got to jump away. Heroic leap, not heroic enough, as Fisheko finds the flank.
This is an easy clean-up kill, double for Fisheko. FNATIC are going to hold on. A lot of ultimates used for them, though. The Immortal from Fernando, the Dragon Punch from Drogoz, the final 10 seconds. Na'Vi just look to give this one up, so FNATIC will hold, and they will score themselves a point.
And those salvos hurt, Nick. I mean, Fusillade, it also impacts not only your direct damage rockets from your single rocket fire, but for that salvo, each individual rocket comes out hitting, instead of that normal 250, about 330 something, and that adds up. That really, really does. But right now, it's all about this objective fight. FNATIC, I mean, they got to be glad, I guess, going into this round, seeing what mistakes were made and hopefully making an adjustment.
Itemization should be about equalized between these two teams. You score credits for, of course, kills, standing near and on the objective. You can spend those hard-earned credits on in-game items that provide passive bonuses, things like defenses, utility, offense, and of course some healing as well. They're color-coded for your convenience. You can see there, red is offense, blue is defense, yellow, utility, and green, of course, the color for healing. Offense probably the most important and prioritized in the economy.
Phoenix must add a few Coca-Colas before this. He is amped up, ready to go. Sugar high, and of course high on life. 3-0, looking at a potential championship here with a win. They've just got to do it one game on Serpent Beach, and that's the Dread Serpent starting out by Spunky, looking to find a kill, but nothing can be found yet as bugzy has a huge duel going on against Shaolin. Will it be Creatives who gets the better end of it? And it is the Shaolin MVP so far. Still turns the day his way.
It had to go his way. He had heals, he had cooldowns. Bugzy not with any of those luxuries. There's Buck Wild coming out. Mutu finding one. Cybe 8, he's alone. Thiel, they'll reconnect in the back line, but it is
99.
Just a little remiss, says Natus Vincere again on the offensive. FNATIC against the ropes.
And if we look at the ult economy here, things are still decent for Na'Vi. They're pretty much tied with FNATIC. They come out of that round with the point, with another 300 credits, so that's 600 up, which is enough to buy Cauterize 2. And of course, they've got 3 ultimates, 3 big ones. Seismic Crash, Hexafire, Heat Haste from Shaolin, and the Dread Serpent about primed and ready. Phoenix escapes, but Gerrah cleans them up. That's what they need more of here.
Looking for some aggression. Bugzy, he's out of cooldowns, he's out of health. Creatives takes him down. Fire Spit over the top, won't find anything. Dragon Punch is ready if he needs it, but Cybe 8 and a Rocket connect at the same time to take down Creatives.
And look at this, Fusillade continuing to rain down pain as Fisheko finds himself in the right spot for Rockets. Unbelievable, gonna rock himself into one of those. Of course, he's got abs of stone, so he will survive for now.
So much damage pouring out of Fisheko right now. A lot of safe poke damage from Drogos. An ultimate that charges quickly, way out in front, 20,000 damage. The fight is breaking out.
I love the Dread Serpent. It's just, you know, we just lost a member and they ult. Spunky's just turning the tide, keeping this push moving no matter what. I absolutely love his decision making. He's playing with so much confidence, Nick, and that is what they're going to need. Is unbelievable actually poking out Fisheko. He's got to force a whirlwind from Grover.
You knew we needed, and that full reset is going to turn Natus Vincere, at least for the time being. Seismic crash on the front side of the fight. It'll land, but Unbelievable loses his life. He's paid the iron price.
Mutu and Bugzy, though, both go down, but Mutu finds 2 kills. This is big. Can Mutu find another Phoenix? He's going to do it there. He said he was excited. He said he was amped up. Well, that goes for all of Na'Vi as they look to push. They are 3-1. 1 point away. 1 objective from world champion.
But remaining focused in FNATIC. He's cracking a smile, but he's remaining vigilant as it's not over till it's over. FNATIC, they are looking down but not out. They're ready to give this all that they've got. This is it, the penultimate achievement on the line.
Mutu just continuing to impress. Him and Creatives have been the dynamic duo that Na'Vi have needed for so long. They have finally stepped up. Mutu always been that star-studded player for them, the silent assassin. But Creatives has really been the one to get creative here. Mutu definitely with the slash line, but Creatives still doing well.
FNATIC with a great Hexafire there. Not only does he take down Thiel, but he actually deters the Dragon Punch from Fisheko, forces him back to spawn. That could have been a very different round, but FNATIC, he's gonna smile that one off.
Sybate here, playing very aggressively, and FNATIC know they've got to take the fight to them, and that's how you start it off. Couple of shots, good kills, and now 2 more. Fisheko gets another one. Thiel grabs it, and Spunky's going to go down. They're staggering him. They don't want him to get back to base too fast, and Na'Vi now under the pressure.
I gotta say, you know, Na'Vi are in such a good position. They've got Unbelievable headed back to the point. Comeback mechanic makes this an easier capture for them. Earthen Guard is popped. Maybe a wall needs to be used here. Warder's Field drop 89% for FNATIC, and they concede map control.
What an amazing play. That dismount could have been it. Look at the heal coming through. On base back to 100, and now Natus Vincere still keep their championship hopes alive. Thiel getting pressured out. Thiel goes down. FNATIC looking to find 1 more, but he's found enough.
Is devastating. FNATIC, they lose their sole frontliner, 75%.
81.
And climbing the last seconds potentially of the Paladins World Championship.
93. Is it gonna happen? Just a Spunky, an unbelievable fine redemption, and Natus Vincere are your Paladins World Champions. GG!
congratulations to your Paladins World Champions, Na'Vi! Woo! What a set, what a fashion statement here on the stage. All right, starting off with Spunky. You were pretty bold with all of your words going into this. You 4-0'd the competition. Were you really expecting it to go that smoothly?
No, I was actually expecting like maybe 5 games, 6 games, maybe 7.
Nice, nice. Well, I actually want to get some words with creatives if he wants to step on over to this side. What fantastic play coming from you throughout the set. What was just racing through your mind?
Well, I don't know. I tried to do my best and I don't know, carried my team.
Well, I think your best was pretty good. If I say so myself, I think the crowd would agree. Now I'm gonna walk over to Phoenix. I'm digging the flag, man. You're a champion now. What are you thinking?
Feels good.
Good? That's it?
Nah, it's not that. Like, going into this, I was nervous for every game. I'm always nervous for every game. Making it out of groups, I was really happy. And then the semis, we went to game 7, and we won it. I was happier. And now we won the final, so I guess I'm on my happiest now.
So after the semifinals going all the way to game 7, were you worried about something like that happening here then?
Yeah, I thought it would happen, but it kind of helped us because I thought this would go to game 7, so we were prepared for that after the last semi or after the semis. So.
What about the momentum, just the emotional aspect that was going through? Did you have a lot of comms going on? What were you all saying to each other?
I think it was mostly just screaming, joy. Like, you can hear the crowd after the game, you see the crowd, and it helps a lot. Like, thank you all for rooting for us. Yeah.
Yeah! Is there anyone in particular you would like to thank?
Honestly, I would just like to thank my family, of course, because I'm really grateful to have a family that supports me in what I do, because a lot of families don't support esports, but my family, I think they're all watching right now, so shout out mom, dad, brothers, whoever's watching, thank you all. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to Kemaker. He warmed up my spot.
Nice. And what about words for the rest of your team here on the stage?
The rest of my team, actually, I want to point this out real quick. Like, this finals was so important that even Mutu started singing in voice comms. That's how important it was.
Mutu, can we hear some singing? Yeah? No? Not today. Maybe if you come back and win it again, then can we hear some singing? You saw it here, everybody. You saw it here. Now I know in a moment we're actually going to have them come out and announce the MVP for this set. But are there any particular plays or just some moments that were highlights in your mind after this?
I think we all just played so well as a team. Like, you saw, if you looked at the damage charts, like, we were all like below FNATIC. It's just we focused the same target, so we didn't need a lot of damage, and we just killed them.
I know Evan and Nick are going to be coming out in just a moment with the trophy to present to our MVP for this set. Everybody in the audience, are you excited about some Paladins? Mic check. Yeah. I got you, bro.
Jimmy Shaka right there. Okay. Had to mic check, that wasn't working out. What an incredible performance by Natus Vincere. One more round of applause, guys, for all of them here. Every single one of them. But at the end of the day, there is always one standout, one performer who sometimes has his coming out party here on this big stage. Last year, it was NIP and Bonker. This year, it is Natus Vincere's very own Creatives. Congratulations, man. Now I just want to ask you a couple of questions. I know you're not a big talker, so we're going to keep it brief. You were one of those guys that innovated on Willow when she was first coming out. You were one of those guys that showed up on the EVs, pestering Bird when he was in the back line on the Ceres and forcing her away and making them really consider you as a top-tier player. But you were third for so long. You were not invited to LANs before this. How does it feel to persevere through all of that and now be a champion on the stage?
Like, it's the best feeling you could ever have. It's my dream, basically, so I'm just shaking right now, sorry, but it's really, really fucking good. So, sorry.
What a sweet guy. I mean, he's just, it's pretty unbelievable. But the last thing I want to say is, you know, with your demeanor, you don't seem like that guy who wants to take all the attention for yourself. But guess what? Even backstage, FNATIC said you were the MVP. How are you going to deal with now heading into 2018 and so much Paladins esports left being a superstar?
I'm gonna do the same, just keep playing, and I always try to support Mutu mostly, and I will keep doing that. I think that works for us, so it will stay that way.
Well, congratulations, man. Any last words for your fans or friends or family?
Pozdrawiam Polskę. Okay, thanks.
Thank you guys so much. Again, one more round of applause for Creatives, your MVP on Natus Vincere.
All right, I think I got the magic touch over here. Congratulations once again to your Paladins World Champions, Navi. That's gonna do it for Paladins today. We are gonna switch it over eventually to Smite, which starts at 3 p.m. So let's get geared up for that.